any of our information is not publicly available. All of our files are publicly available. And so that is not a fair impression to leave. I mean, I guess I would also say that the information that we have provided for this application is similar to information that we provide for all of the applications that we bring before you. That doesn't mean that we can't provide you other information that you want, and all you got to do is let us know, and we will provide that information to you. I don't think I got a call from anyone asking for more information. And I would say that, and this is a little bit of a side, I would like to have somebody on our staff address the issue of how we determine project purpose, because that seems to be a key element of some of the issues here about whether or not this is the right site or whether it should be at a different site. Anyway, a few comments for you to consider.
Madam Chair, if I may. I know, being on with DEQ and DCR prior, the packets we get when I started new, as probably Roberta is feeling, if you don't study it, review it, and have questions, then you come to the meeting with unanswered questions. I know at times I probably drive Mr. Baylor crazy because I have no problems calling his cell phone and asking him while he's at EPA conferences, explain this to me and answer this question for me, and what is our position as both state and federal, and what guidelines do we have to follow within state and federal. So with all due respect, I think our agency and the great Commonwealth does a great job. I also think as a board member, you must put in the time and the effort to get the information, and it's most of the time nothing more than a phone call.
No?
Madam Chairman, I jumped up a little before Mr. Paylor asked his question because I wanted to just make 2 points. First, when we issue a public notice on a draft permit, we give folks an opportunity to ask us for additional information or come into the file and come in and look at the file. And Allison said at least 3 or 4 folks did ask for a site plan, which we made available for them to download, so that information was out there if somebody wanted to look at it. The other thing I just wanted to clarify, and Ms. Kellum, I'm just a little confused. There is no additional proposal for this plat, for this site. And I just asked the folks here, but I just wanted to clarify if there's something on that site plan that's a little confusing.
Great. That does show future potential build out, but there's no user specified for those 2 pods, I think, that you can see that are dotted lines. It shows potential future build out, but there's no one there, so we're not permitting anything associated with this.
So these are, is this what you're considering the pod?
The building that's in a solid line and the road around it and the parking area is what we're permitting today.
Okay, but there's a proposed phase 2 building. There are 2 of them.
Those are future, they're not being permitted today.
But they're part of the Amazon site, I believe.
No, they're
No,
not. No,
they're not.
They're not built at all.
I know they're not built, but I mean, they say they're proposed, but they're not proposed to be included eventually.
They're not part of this permit application.
But my question is if they're already being proposed, then why aren't they part of the permit application?
Because they're speculative development, and as Mr. Paylor noted, we in the Norfolk District cannot apply for a permit if we don't have an identified user. And that area of the park is designated and zoned as the logistics zone, and therefore certain building criteria have to be met. So Amazon is in the logistics zone, we have this current user in the logistics zone, and we have 2 additional possible sites where future users may choose to locate. And if at such time, we would then have to apply for a permit. And the entire parcel associated with this project will be transferred to this end user, and that leaves 2 other potential sites that were in the logistics zone that meet the zoning requirements. That down the road, one of them has no impacts associated with it. The other one is basically just showing a potential square footage area, and we were asked by DEQ to lay out how this rest of this park could be developed at some point in time and do calculations on stormwater for our master plan, rooftops, parking, just to demonstrate how that could potentially develop in the future. The portion on the northern portion of the site, which is the Life Sciences Center, we have no impacts proposed. Everything can be built without impacts. So we've tried to lay everything out based on that master plan. These 2 future areas, if we had to come in for a permit, we would then have to come back to DEQ, modify the permit here. All the other areas within the site we're transferring now would be already avoided. There is no expansion plan for this user.
Okay, so these are not, this one right here is not for Amazon? Got it. Okay.
Amazon's already built, no, that other one is another future potential site. It's not for Amazon. Amazon has their one site and that's it in the park.
Since I had jumped up, would you like some comments on project purpose?
The applicant, usually what we require is the applicant present project purpose and need. It's required as part of the complete application requirements. When the applicant does that, we try to evaluate how they could accomplish that purpose in other ways that would avoid impacts. But the applicant does set their project purpose for us. I mean, they tell us they have a user, this user needs this many square feet. In this case, we saw a letter of intent from that user verifying that, you know, they did need that their square footage. We know what the parking requirements are based on just generally the square footage and then the proposed use of the building.
Did they not also need it for, because they are a logistics purpose, their location needed to be located closer to
Yes,
Amazon?
that is part of their
opposed to
purpose.
Somewhere else within that location?
Yes.
May I? One of the people commented about the size of the impact, and I was also very surprised at the large, acreage of impact, 9 point. Is this, and whoever is handling the wetland for the state would probably know this, because I'm not sure you're just regional, right? But is this a rather, is this within the typical size of a wetland disturbance, wetland impact? I haven't myself remembered anything this large.
In the Piedmont region, this is a larger sized impact. The commenter did mention that this is one of the largest ones in Chesterfield County, and I believe that's true. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For wetlands, small impact for streams.
Thank you.
Anyone else? May I have a motion?
You need to actually have her present the recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot about that part. Please present staff
You
recommendation.
have them, but nobody else does.
Based on the agency permit files, the comments received during the public comment period, and any explanation of comments previously received during the public comment period made at the board meeting, the staff recommends that the board find that 1, A, the permit has been prepared in conformance with all applicable statutes, regulations, and agency practices. B, the proposed activity is consistent with the provisions of the Clean Water Act and State Water Control Law and will protect in-stream beneficial uses. C, the proposed permit addresses avoidance and minimization of surface water impacts to the maximum extent practicable. D, the effect of the impact together with other existing or proposed impacts to surface waters will not cause or contribute to significant impairment of state waters or fish and wildlife resources. E, the proposed permit conditions are sufficient to achieve no net loss of wetland acreage and function through compensatory mitigation. F, this permit is designed to prevent unpermitted impacts. 2, approve the permit and conditions as presented today. And 3, authorize the director to issue the permit as approved by the board.
Thank you. I have a motion.
Madam Chair, based on staff's recommendations and information presented today, I move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
I'm sorry. What I would wonder is whether or not the permittee would agree to an additional condition to address the comment from the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries that I referred to, page 5 of the fact sheet, where DGIF recommended a time of year restriction to protect nesting, resident, and migratory songbirds that are not listed as threatened or endangered. And I wondered if staff and the applicant would agree to include that condition with,
I would ask the question of staff, wouldn't that be better served in the county's POD or permitting, not in DEQ's?
It is outside the scope of the DOP permit.
So whether we request it or not, if it's not in our purview, it would be, that would fall onto the county.
Nicole, probably.
I think you making public comment and noting it in the record and encouraging it, you can do, but I don't, Mr. Baylor, is that, we cannot put that in our purview, can we?
It's, Madam Chair, it's not within our purview. An applicant can agree to whatever they want to agree to, but we find it to be, what you hear from the staff is, we try to stick very closely to what our authority is and not stray outside of that, and this would be outside of that in my view.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Chairman, I'm just wondering if the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries would make such a recommendation. I mean, what would be the, like you said, as an applicant can agree to anything that they want. So I guess my question would be for the applicant.
I think there's a motion on the table.
There is.
Motion on the table that we need to act on, and I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.